If you'd like online business explained to you in a way that you can actually understand, go to latenightim.com/explain. It's completely free and I made it just for you. Now, how about an episode? Episode 209. Late Night Internet Marketing. This week on the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast, we talk about the viability of e-commerce businesses in 2021, the post-pandemic era. Okay, wait, not post-pandemic yet, but you get the idea. Is this the right time to start a dropshipping business? All this and more on the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast.
The Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast.
You've been working for somebody else, but you want a business to run yourself. You want to know how to start and where to begin. Can you get out your comfort zone, my friend? Yes, you can do it right when it's late at night. At the end of the day, your dreams burning inside. So keep it up and you will find that you're building your business one night at a time.
And now, broadcasting late at night from a little studio in the big state of Texas, your host, Mark Mason.
Hey, how is everyone doing? I hope you are having an absolutely fantastic week. I am your host, Mark Mason, and I'm coming to you from the little studio in Dallas, Texas, and things couldn't be better here. I have been completely distracted by a crazy project this week. Santa Claus brought one of those 3/4 scale Pac-Man machines to my house. And being an electrical engineer, I decided I needed to modify it and to play thousands of games instead of just the 2 or 3 that it comes with. So I've been building a MAME machine out of that. I've been researching it, ordering parts, getting a Raspberry Pi up and running, and just totally geeking out on all the games of my childhood because I am a man of a certain age. I was around when Pac-Man was around and Galaga was around and Miss Pac-Man was all the rage. And we played Zaxxon and Space Invaders and Defender. And I had an Atari 2600. So all of these things really resonate with me. And it's all been very exciting. And if you want to know more about that, that's not what this podcast is about. But if you want to know more about that, stick around after the outro music. There's always some extra stuff at the end of the show. And I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on with my MAME machine here in the little studio in Dallas. That's just a little bonus content that I include at the end of every episode in case you're new around here and you've never found that before. Okay, so dropshipping. So why am I talking about dropshipping? You know, back in episode 199, which was back in April, we talked about drop shipping and my experience and what had gone on with my experience with a course that I had taken from a couple of guys named Steve and Aiden. You can learn about those guys at latenightim.com/Kibo. They're the guys that taught me the latest installment of what I know about drop shipping. And if you'll recall, that plan was all around Google advertising. And I was very excited about it because Google shopping ads particularly was something that I didn't have any experience with. And I love learning new things about internet marketing. I had a lot of experience with Google search campaigns, but almost no experience with Google shopping ads. So I was really excited about that. And Steve and Aiden, for all their marketing and you know, they're marketers at their core and lots of hype around their launches. And I know people have various opinions about that, but the quality of the courses that they deliver is really outstanding. You get kind of an MBA in whatever they're teaching. And I really enjoy them. I've taken some kind of course from them every year for the last several years. So I went through this course, and basically the business model that the course teaches, which I talked about again in episode 199, was this idea of drop shipping products that you sell using Google Ads. So the idea is this: you identify a product that you believe will be profitable. We'll talk about what profitable means in just a second. But you identify this product. It's a widget. It's a blue widget, and you know people are wanting to buy blue widgets. So for example, let's say that you identify a pair of Bluetooth headphones that are designed to compete with Apple AirPods, but at a much lower price. So they come in a case, the case charges them. And this was actually something that was really popular at the time I was taking the course. And you want to sell these AirPod-like devices as just regular Bluetooth headphones that people can actually afford. So you identify this product, you do a little research, and you feel like you can sell this at a profit. Then what you do is you take out an ad for this product in Google Shopping, and you place information about your product on a Shopify store. So you go to mystore.com, and there it is. There's your headphones that you're selling, and you use those Google Shopping ads to send traffic to these headphones. Now, if you're not familiar with Google Shopping ads, if you go type in anything into Google that you might want to buy, like a blender or a vacuum cleaner or Bluetooth headphones, and you look at the top of the Google search results, and sometimes down the right-hand side, you'll see product listings from various vendors, everyone from Amazon to Best Buy to little ma and pa shops that have Shopify stores all across the internet. Those are Google Shopping ads. You don't write any ad copy for those. Basically, it's just the product image and the product title and sometimes the price, and click, boom, and you're on the website. So you take out these ads, you drive traffic to your offer on a Shopify site, and you sell one. Now, when you sell a product, you take the customer's money, let's say it's $50, and you contact the distributor for this product or the drop shipper for this product, and you say, hey, I just sold one of these. Would you please ship it to my customer? Here's $20 or whatever the shipper charges. And they ship that product out directly to your customer. Your customer's happy. They've got their product. You've got their $50, but you've spent 20 of it. So now you're left with $30. With that $30, you've also got to pay for whatever the ads cost. So maybe it took you 5 clicks at $1 a click. And so that's $5 plus the 20 you spent for the headphones. That's $25, but you got 50. So you get to keep $25. That's how drop shipping works. Of course, it doesn't always work like that. If you chose poorly and you picked a price that you can't sell it at, maybe you spend a lot on advertising and never sell anything. Or maybe you find out that it costs $26 in advertising to sell one of these. And so $26 plus maybe $25 is $51, and you lose $1 every time you sell one of these headphones. And so one of the tricks around this drop shipping business idea is that you've got to find products that are actually profitable and that you can actually sell in this marketplace that is Google search. That was the big trick of this thing. Well, back in the beginning of 2020, when all this was going on, it was February and March, and things were looking great. And I was populating my store with products. And then the pandemic hit. And then warehouses started to close, and international shipping got all clogged up, and products became almost impossible to source. And all of a sudden I'd look one day and products would be available, and I'd sell one, and I'd go back to fulfill the order the next day, and there would be no products in stock that I could use to fulfill customer orders. And this became a big nightmare. So I shut down the drop shipping store. Now, before shutting it down, I made $2,500 worth of sales. And to be honest with you, it wasn't profitable at all. In fact, I lost money learning how to run ads and figure all this stuff out. But I had identified several products that looked really promising. And that's one of the ways that you do this. You do a little testing on a product. If it makes money, great. If it doesn't make money, you move on to the next product. This is one of the difficulties of drop shipping, is identifying profitable products that you can actually sell at a profit. And another difficulty of drop shipping is all of the complexities around setting up a Shopify store. As great as Shopify is, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and there's cost associated with that. And then another difficulty with drop shipping is this idea of paid traffic. You're always worried that that's going to get out of hand. And actually, at one point, I had messed up some settings in Google, and overnight I spent $300 or $400 in ads because of a mistake that I made. So all of these things are possible, and they happen with drop shipping. And I think anyone who started an e-commerce business like this has had similar experiences, and, you know, it's replete with stories. But this course that Steve and Aiden did, which had thousands of people in it, there were dozens of people, or maybe 100 people, that had amazing success. One guy did $54,000 worth of sales in one day. And when that's happening around you, you know, usually in these courses, you have like a forum and people are posting screenshots of their sales and talking about what's going on and how they're doing it. It's very exciting. And there was a lot of excitement around this during the time that I imagined that really made me believe that this was a real viable business model. And there are several things about the drop shipping business model that I really like. One thing I really like about it is that it's really drop dead straightforward, simple for beginners. And a lot of people that listen to this podcast are in that category of relatively new to marketing. It's really easy to understand. You get a relationship with a supplier, you advertise their product, you sell the product, and when you make a sale, you ask that supplier to ship the product and you keep the difference. I mean, that's really the fundamentals of this business model, and that's really easy to understand. And it doesn't involve having a warehouse somewhere or a spare bedroom full of stuff. You're not packing boxes and dealing with UPS shipments and weighing packages and wrapping things and all that. It's just really simple. It's completely electronic. And because of that, because of the nature of this business and its simplicity, it's really easy to outsource. And so that's really attractive for someone who maybe isn't new to internet marketing, but wants to grow their business in a way that's scalable. See, with a business like late night internet marketing, I am the business. So if there's a course, I make the course. And if there's a speaking engagement, I do the speaking engagement. And if there's a podcast like this one right here, I record the podcast. And sure, I have lots of help with show notes and transcriptions and all of those things. But ultimately, I am this business. Actually, my listeners are the business, but I am driving the business. My time is required to run this business. And that doesn't scale in a great way all the time, right? If I want to do something new, I generally have to stop doing something else that I'm doing. But with something like drop shipping, there's formulas for identifying products. There's research that you need to do. And while I might not want to outsource the final decision, I can certainly outsource the research. You know, what are other products, similar products selling for? What does Google search say? What does the ad copy look like on other sites? You know, all the typical marketing research that you might do in a situation like this, that's totally outsourceable. And then the product, you need to list your product in Shopify. And in fact, when I did this, I had amazing support from one of my virtual assistants who did all my product listings. And they were way better than what I would do. I mean, she's amazing with graphics and doing all the things and writing sales copy and all the stuff that you need to do. Basically, what you need to do is look at all the other people that are selling the product and write an ad that's better. And she was able to do that really well. Super easy to outsource that affordably. And then, of course, there's this thing where you come home and you've got 15 orders at the end of the day. If you're a side hustler and you've got to fulfill those orders, that's kind of a data entry task. To the extent that it's not automated. If you've got a situation where it's not fully automated, you've got to do that data entry and process those orders. Well, that's totally outsourceable. I mean, you can totally get someone to do that. And then the final thing you've got with a business like this that no one ever talks about, but I will tell you about, is customer service. You've got to answer emails. Usually I have a phone number, but it really tells people to submit an email, which goes into a ticket system. And that is also totally outsourceable. You can handle that, but it has to be handled. I had one guy who bought a telescope for his nephew's birthday. And because of all the shipping problems we were having with local warehouses, not being able to get products from their suppliers, a lot of which were overseas, we were having stuff that was back ordered. And this guy was calling me frantic because he didn't have his gift for his nephew. I mean, that made me feel horrible. So those kind of customer service things happen with drop shipping, and you've got to have a way to handle that. So I think, drop shipping to me looks like a really good business model. I think there are a lot of people who've made a lot of money doing drop shipping. You can just look at the drop shipping videos and content on YouTube to get a sense of what people are doing. So, given that, when it came back around time to the first of the year again, and Steve and Aiden were starting to talk about offering a revised version of their course on this topic, it made me think, well, is 2021 really a good year? Is this a good time for me to try this again, to try this dropshipping again? And by the way, my son, who's now 14 years old, when he's not playing baseball, one of the things that we mess around with is internet marketing stuff. And we've had a store for a long time. We've applied some of these methods. We've made sales. We've sold all kinds of really interesting stuff. My favorite thing was an LED fan that plugged into your USB port. And whenever it was blowing cold air on you, there were LEDs on the fan blades that spelled out the time. So it was a LED fan clock, which you could only see when the blades were spinning. It was really neat. But we've sold stuff like that before. So he's interested in this. And in fact, he's taking social media marketing as an elective course as an 8th grader at the local junior high school here. That's a course you can take in middle school now in America. That's kind of amazing that's a whole nother podcast that they're teaching social media marketing in junior high school. That's an amazing thing. So the bottom line was I was interested in this. And so Steve and Aiden started offering this course again this year, which they're giving away a lot of free information at latenightim.com/Kibo. And that's KIBO, by the way. And that link will be in the show notes. But I had this question, is this really the right time? And there's a couple of things that occurred to me. And I think it is the right time to be starting or doubling down on e-commerce business. And here's a couple of the reasons. One is, I know for a fact, if you just look at the data out there, that e-commerce has grown at an amazing rate over the last year due to the pandemic. And so e-commerce and the infrastructure around e-commerce and people's comfort with e-commerce and all of the things that go with that have grown dramatically in the last year. And so that's a very good thing, a very strong endorsement of e-commerce. But what that growth has done is it has made people comfortable with doing business online and buying things without actually touching them in a way that they've never been comfortable before. They didn't want to buy that t-shirt without going to Target and actually holding the t-shirt in their hand. They didn't want to buy those shoes from Zappos because they wanted to actually try them on. They were those people who just weren't comfortable with online processes and buying things online. And the pandemic, out of necessity, changed that for them. And then there's this whole other axis of that where there are all of these things that people never even considered buying online before, like groceries, that have doubled down that whole thing of comfort. Groceries and I think delivery food are the two big things that just so many people were doing, particularly here in the United States, to get things delivered. And I think that just a whole level of comfort with e-commerce means that a lot of the growth, certainly not all of it, but a lot of the growth that we've seen during the pandemic for e-commerce is here to stay. And people's level of comfort with e-commerce is here to stay. And I'll tell you, I'm a buy stuff online kind of guy, but even it's interesting, I was just kind of looking back at all the little things that I bought for my game cabinet conversion that I was talking about. Remember the Pac-Man machine? I bought joysticks and buttons and a Raspberry Pi and power supplies and all this other stuff, speakers and amplifiers and all the things I need to build out this cabinet. I bought stuff from a variety of different e-commerce stores, not just Amazon, but at least 2 Shopify shops, one to get a custom control panel that matched my particular Pac-Man cabinet, another one to get a special joystick that was magnetically centered that actually shipped to me from Europe. And so I really believe in the power of e-commerce going forward. So I'm in a situation now where I believe in e-commerce as a business model for part-time entrepreneurs and for solo entrepreneurs. And I think it outsources really well. And I think the time is right to do that kind of business. Now, there are some things that you need to watch out for, right? When you do an e-commerce business, there are absolutely some things that you need to make sure that you do. And one thing that you need to make sure that you do is use suppliers that are in the country that you're doing business in. I think that the days of being able to drop ship something from China, unless it's a really special item and having a customer wait for a week or 12 days or whatever, it's still possible, but I think those days are behind you. And if it's a super cool novelty item that's coming from China, I think, okay, fine. If it's interruption marketing on Facebook where it's like this, blinking toilet lights was one thing that I saw, and those are coming from China and someone didn't need that. You just marketed to them and they bought it and they don't really care when it comes. I think that's fine. But if you're in a Google shopping situation where someone's actually looking for something, they want the thing. And so you've got to be able to get the thing to them. And so I think dealing with reliable US suppliers, if you're in the United States, or UK suppliers, if you're in the UK, or Australian suppliers, if you're down under, I think, that is absolutely critical for your success in this business. And I think the second thing that's really important is that you've got to make sure you manage your fixed and variable costs. Now, this is just general business advice, but I think you really need to be careful and rigorous on a product by product basis regarding your variable cost. Is this product profitable? And am I really going to make money on this single product? I've tested it for $50 worth of investment in advertising. Did I make more than $50 in sales? And was that profitable? I think you need to know that on a almost daily basis. And so you need good tools around your store, or at least a really good spreadsheet so that you know exactly what's going on inside your business. This is not a business that you can be lazy with. I think the margins are a little bit too tight in a business like this. You really need to pay attention. You got to know your numbers, as they say. So I think that's really important. And then I think the other thing you got to watch out for is you've got to have some traffic sources that make sense and that you can afford, right? So if the cost of Facebook clicks is $5 a click and you're selling a $10 product, that's probably not going to work for you. I mean, unless your conversion rates are amazing, that's not going to work for you. So your traffic sources have to be sustainable. So, Steve and Aiden have made these same observations, and they have, I've seen some information from them about their new course, their revised version of their course on dropshipping, which I'm considering taking, and that you can learn more about at latenightim.com/Kibo. That course looks very interesting to me. And it's because they have taken what was already an outstanding course from last year, and they have targeted 3 particular issues. One is they have identified additional traffic sources, particularly free ones. one of the problems that you get into when you teach a course like this is you have people of all different kinds of walks of life and personal situations coming in there. And when people spend money on a course, sometimes they don't have any money left or any extra money beyond that to be dumping money into ads to test products and see what works. And so in this version of the course, they're going to have free traffic. So I'm excited about that because organic traffic is one of my specialties. And I don't know exactly what they're teaching, but I feel like that's something that I can really get my arms around and have some success with. The second thing that I think is really interesting is they are promising help with product selection. They had started this work in the last course where they had a giant database with hundreds of thousands of products, and they had metrics around those products that helped you mine data to find products that were likely going to be profitable. Basically, this database of theirs in general knows the cost of a product, and it tried to make some judgments about the popularity of a product and the average selling price that was out there, and try to make a guess about whether or not this product was likely to be profitable if you went and sold it. And that's not 100% thing. It's not the kind of thing that is a guarantee, but it takes you from sifting through hundreds of thousands of products to hundreds of potential choices and just increases the probability that you're going to be successful. So I'm excited about that. And then the final thing that I'm really excited about is they've gotten rid of Shopify. They have a proprietary platform that they're providing as part of the course where you can set up your store on their platform with their integration and you're not paying Shopify fees. One of the hidden secrets about Shopify is that by the time you get it all configured with it the way you want it and you get everything running the way you want, it can be pretty expensive. And again, when you've just spent a lot of money on a course, the last thing you want is a recurring monthly bill from Shopify of $30, $50, $75, or $100, however you end up configuring it. And so that's really nice. So I'm looking into taking this course again. If you want to know more about the course, you can go to latenightim.com/Kibo, and they will send you some information, some of these testimonials that I was talking about, which are really interesting to read, screenshots. These screenshots, they have that information in there, and they'll also tell you what their thinking is about the viability of e-commerce in 2021. But for my money, my recommendation, if you've got an interest in e-commerce, 2021 is a great year to explore that interest. Even if you don't take a look at Stephen and Aiden's course, I think it's a really good time to be dipping your toe into e-commerce as we come out of the pandemic. And, now that the supply chain is mostly back to normal, I think it's a really good time. Now, full disclosure, I'm an affiliate of Steve and Aiden's. I have been for years. If you buy their course at latenightim.com/Kibo, I get a commission. It doesn't affect your cost for the course, but I get a commission. And having said that, I will tell you, these guys, while they are definitely marketers and they market really hard to try and get your business, talk about that in just a second, their teaching is top notch. They deliver amazing content. Now let's talk about the marketing. They will sell millions of dollars in revenue worth of this course. So they will sell thousands of copies of this course, and they will make this is a very high stakes game, and their marketing is very enthusiastic is the way I would say. And they want you to understand what is possible with a business like this. And they will show you all of these examples, which I believe to be 100% real, of people who have just crushed it with this business. I mean, like I said, one guy, $54,000 worth of sales in a single day from nothing, right? That's an amazing story. And they have an entire array of these stories, and their solutions are really cool. And the tendency for people who are excited about buying courses like this is to feel like these guys have all the answers. And if I just give them my credit card, I will instantly have a successful business. That's human nature, right? It's confirmation bias. That's what you're looking for. And so you expect that to be the result, that this is going to be the silver bullet that makes it all finally come together for me. Whether you're buying a course from Stephen Aden, and by the way, they're particularly good at marketing in this way that makes people believe that anything is possible. And I love that in the sense that anything is possible. But when you're making an informed decision about buying a course, this course or any other course, you need to realize two things. One is most people who take courses like this, they don't achieve these amazing results. Very few people do. In my case, I had $2,500 worth of sales in under a month. And you say, oh, that's fantastic. But I didn't make any real money, right? And then the pandemic hit and then I quit. And I think that's a story that's very typical of a lot of people. And so you need to understand that no matter how excited that you get about something like this, the typical result is not the result that they're going to tell you about. They're going to tell you about the awesome, amazing results. Still all true. As far as I know, I met, quote unquote, met some of the people that they'll tell you about online, but you need to understand that really that all of these results are, they're skewed for the purpose of selling the course, right? So that's one thing. And then the other thing that you need to understand is they will market these solutions that they offer, the product finding solutions and the site creation solutions, and they're always awesome, but they're never turnkey perfect, throw down my credit card and walk away. So if you're really looking for easy money, I don't think there's any online business for you, really. I don't think easy money is a thing. And if you get caught up in a marketing message for any course, not just this course that I'm talking about, but any course, I want to caution you from falling into that trap of thinking that there's easy money out there to be had, because it's just not out there. That's not a thing. You'll hear stories occasionally where something weird happens. I heard a story about a podcaster who went from a couple of downloads a month to thousands of downloads a day because she shares the same name with this amazing inaugural poet that spoke at the inauguration a couple of days ago. Of course, I'm talking about Amanda Gorman. It turns out there's a podcaster named Amanda Gorman, absolutely no relation, totally different person. Her show totally blew up. Now, I don't know if that's going to make her rich or not, but things happen that cause people to be successful overnight. But that's not normal, and I don't want you to count on that. So again, if you're interested in exploring e-commerce, I think this is a really good way to get started. Again, it's latenightim.com/Kibo. I'll tell you something else. If you have questions about the course and you want to know more, I definitely encourage you to go to that link, but drop me a line at feedback@latenightim.com. I'll answer your questions about the course. I'll tell you what my experience was last year, straight up truth. And I can help you decide if this is something that you think might be for you. I can help you make that decision. Additionally, if you are feeling like you want to get into e-commerce, but maybe you don't want this course, that is also awesome, because I really do believe, course aside, this is a great time to get into e-commerce. The supply chain is back. I think it's a valid business model. It always has been. And the potential for e-commerce has been accelerated at an unbelievable rate. And I don't think that's going away. When things get a little bit more back to normal, the rate of growth may slow, but there's been a shift, a sea change in the way people buy things. And I believe that sea change is here to stay. All right. I hope that was helpful. I hope you get the message, and the message is, I think e-commerce is a good idea. And if you want this course from Aiden and Steve, you can go to latenightim.com/Kibo. Until next week, I hope you absolutely crush it. And if I can help you anyway, reach out to me at feedback@latenightim.com. Ciao.
You can do it right when it's late at night.
You've been listening to the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast.
Be sure to visit LNIMpodcast.com today to leave feedback for Mark. Download special bonus content, access the show notes, and more. See you there.
Until then, go and make some great progress on your internet business, one night at a time.
Business one night at a time.
Okay, so this is the after the show part of the show that I was talking about. By the way, if you're new to this, it's always here every week. I always talk about something off topic, and I do it that way because it's fun for me. That's the main thing. Second thing is people tell me they like it, which is cool. And the third thing is it gives me a chance to talk about stuff that doesn't really go with the show because, you know, if you're not interested in this part, you can just punch out, right? So, we got this thing for Christmas. It's the 40th anniversary Pac-Man Galaga machine from Arcade 1UP. This is a 3/4 sized machine. So it's not a full up arcade. It's not a legit arcade machine. It comes on a riser so that it gets it to the right height. And it's pretty cool. I mean, we've enjoyed the heck out of playing it. Like I said, it basically unlocks my childhood for me because when I was a kid, this is what video games were. There was the Atari 2600 and stuff that you put a quarter in. That's what you had available early in my childhood. And so I love it. And it's possible to modify these machines in order to make them play almost any game. And I have been working on this. It turns out there are ROMs you can download. The legality of that is not clear. Some of them are in the public domain, and let's just say my advice to you is to stay with the ones in the public domain. But there's also this technology that's available now called the Raspberry Pi. So these things have been around for a long time. If you're not familiar with them, it's a Raspberry Pi is a single board computer about the size of a deck of cards. It has a HDMI video output and USB ports and internet Wi-Fi access, and it has all the things. It's a tiny little computer, again, about the size of a deck of cards. These things are plenty powerful enough to run video games from 50 years ago. No issue. I mean, Pac-Man came out in 1980 something, 81 or 84. I can't quite remember. And so that was quite literally 50 years ago. Right. And so it's absolutely no problem for a modern, tiny single board computer to run such a program, and these run it very well. So people have spent decades developing these emulators that allow programs, these computer programs from these old games to run. So this little single board computer is actually running the actual code from 1981 or 84 or 86. And it's really cool. And it shows up on your screen. It's a vertical screen. It's not a 16:9 screen for Pac-Man and Galaga. It's a screen that's narrow and tall, right? And you punch a button and it sounds like quarters are going in, the whole thing. It's the whole experience. So it's really cool. So I'm doing some upgrades. I got a better joystick and buttons for the cabinet. I'm of course upgrading so that it can play hundreds of games instead of a few. So that's going to be really cool. I upgraded the speakers so that it'd have great sound. And that's about it. So it's going to be awesome. And that's what I'm building. And you can just Google the application that runs on the Raspberry Pi is called RetroPie. So if you Google, and I can put a link to in the show notes to this too at latenightim.com/209. If you Google Arcade 1UP and RetroPie, you can see exactly what I'm doing. There are tons of YouTube videos on this. So once I get that all done, I'll tell you about it. Maybe I'll even make a video and let you guys check it out. But until then, I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I hope you're doing something in your life that makes me as happy as modifying an arcade machine. Talk to you later. Ciao.
Late night internet marketing.
Hey, it's Mark again. I wanted to tell you one more time about this absolutely free resource that I have for helping people who are trying to get the big picture for internet marketing, actually get started and understand what all their choices are. If that's not you, there's no more content. You can skip to the end. But if you're someone who came to this podcast because you're searching for how to get started online and you just can't cut through all the noise, I get it. That was me. In 2007, when I was trying to get started, there were so many people throwing offers at me that I really couldn't even understand what all the different business models were. I couldn't understand how money moved around on the internet, and I couldn't really get a grip on what direction I wanted to go in so I could figure out how to move forward. I've created a free video resource for you just for that purpose at latenightim.com/explain. In several short videos, I just explained to you what internet marketing is all about and what online business is all about and the different options that you have for starting an online business. There's nothing to buy there. You just sign up for access and you get the videos just like that. So if that's interesting to you, or if you know someone who's in a same situation, send them that link, latenightim.com/explain. And let me know what you think. I'd love to hear what people are thinking that are in the exact same position that I was in more than a decade ago in 2007. In some ways, it seems like yesterday. And in some ways, it seems like an entire lifetime ago. Again, that's latenightim.com/explain.
Late night internet marketing.